Welcome back to Lenz Comic Corner, Classics / Non-Classics. This is episode number 741, Doubleshot number 645. Alright? Now, this particular event came out in 2010. Now, people think of events that came out in 2010. What's usually the first thing people think of? Siege, Second Coming, and the Heroic Age. That is it. They might think of maybe Doom War, which is basically a Black Panther miniseries, but what other events happened that year? Chaos War, the Thanos Imperative, and this event. An event a lot of people, when they do talk about this, they say this event is terrible. I've read this. Now, it's been some time since I read it, and this event is really good. What in the world are these people talking about saying this event is terrible? What event am I talking about? Shadowland! Yep. I actually got the trade at Comic-Con. Yep, collecting the 5-issue series of Shadowland, this particular trade. The main event. Written by Andy Diggle and artwork by Billy Tan. Yep. Oh, and by the way, yeah, I own 4 out of the 7 trades that collect this entire event. Now, I also have the Daredevil one, which I'll talk about that in a minute. Now, here's the thing I love about this particular event. The tie-ins actually do something that, apparently, Nick Spencer did not get this memo. The tie-ins are supposed to expand upon stuff that happens in the main event. That's what tie-ins supposed to do. Apparently, Nick Spencer never got that memo because, exception of basically maybe what happened in the 2 Captain America books, a lot of the air towns barely reference anything that happened in Secret Empire, and I point to an event like Shadowland. This is why I think this is probably from the only event Andy Diggle ever did. This is actually a really good event. The story starts out basically referencing what happened in Dark Reign, where Bullseye destroyed an entire building with 107 people in it. Yep. So what does Matt do? As Daredevil, of course, he had taken relations with hand issue 500. No, I haven't reviewed that because this is, well, I have reviewed some Daredevil trades, but this is pre-Mark Waid. Yeah, this is basically kind of the end of the era that started back in 1998 with Kevin Smith doing the Guardian Devil run. This particular event kind of ended this particular era, an era that lasted for 12 years. Yep, ended a 12-year run for Daredevil. I actually love this run. Yeah, this is where basically people like Bendis, Ed Brubaker basically had their big critical acclaim stuff. There were some fill-in writers, but mostly it was just 4 big writers who basically took up this entire era. Kevin Smith, Brian Michael Bendis, Ed Brubaker, and Andy Diggle. These 4 writers made Daredevil awesome. And of course, Mark Waid still made it awesome. Now, the thing starts out with Bullseye being transported to prison after the events of Siege. And, of course, he had been captured, so he's actually not his custody. Of course, he later gets his custody anyways. He breaks out, and then somehow he goes back to Hell's Kitchen, and he goes to Shadowland and runs into Matt Murdock, who is in this costume. I gotta admit, this is actually a not bad looking costume. It's basically like his classic, his red costume he only wears, except it's black and the D's, which, by the way, apparently when Mark Waid took over the book, apparently he's not allowed to have these anymore. Yeah, I'm not kidding about this. If you look at any, a lot of the current Daredevil stuff, yeah, you don't see the D's on the costume very much anymore. No, it's very rare you see it. I mean, yeah, they have the horns. Apparently, some people just don't want to put the D's in anymore. It's really weird. I like the D's. They're really good. And you have basically Matt basically saying hand ninjas after Bullseye, and after a big brawl, which basically goes across half of Hell's Kitchen, yeah, Matt Murdock confronts him, takes a side, and stabs him in the gut, basically starting off Shadowland. Yeah, killing Bullseye the same way he killed Elektra back, I think it was issue 181 of Daredevil back in the 80s, where it was written and drawn by Frank Miller. Yeah, I guess Andy Diggle must take inspiration from Frank Miller of how to do a death. Yeah. And so, basically, who witnessed this? Why, Luke Cage and Iron Fist. And they recruit a few hero circles to basically take down Daredevil. Of course, they have Spider-Man, Moon Knight basically joins the fray. The Kingpin, who does play a role in here. Oh, and what's this big thing he does in here? He resurrects the Ghost Rider. Yeah, he resurrects the Ghost Rider to take on Matt Murdock, who was possessed by the Beast. They reveal this later on. And there's also this guy who's in the cell. They reveal to be Foggy Nelson, by the way. Yeah, so how awesome this event is. And this is actually an event where Spider-Man has a role. Yes, a lot of people who write these events, half the time they don't bother to have Spider-Man who do in fact show up during an actual event. Half the time this contributes to the story except play a minor role. Here he plays a really, really good role. I gotta praise Diggle for actually having Spider-Man actually do something during an actual event. Yeah, and a lot of this, and him showing up in here makes perfect sense. Because him and Matt Murdock have been friends since the 60s. So it makes perfect sense. And while Luke Cage and his gathering of heroes, though, here's something I do criticize this event for. Now, Luke Cage and Iron Fist are basically told by Iron Man, Bucky Barnes, and Thor to stop whatever, just keep an eye on Matt Murdock. And these three never appear in the event ever again. Do they help the heroes? Nope. They're absent. That's my only criticism, is that you have these three big heavy hitters and they're absent. I guess Diggle didn't want to do anything with me, but Diggle and focus on other characters, which that's good. I like the fact he does that. And when they go confront him, this happens in issue 2, by the way, and they go confront him and says, eventually he lifts up the ban of killing because apparently Matt Murdock initiated a rule, no killing, and basically lifts it. And then they basically gets a good brawl for a while. And then eventually, the wall blows up. And who blew it up? The frickin' Punisher. Yep, the Punisher shows up in here. Despite the fact he doesn't have a tie-in here, but yeah, he plays a big role in this event. I mean, why not have the Punisher in here? Because after all, the Punisher's had a long history with Daredevil, so why the heck not? Though the one character I'm a little surprised, even though he did contribute in here, he doesn't have much history with Daredevil, and that's Moon Knight. Yeah, he's probably the one character who's had the least amount of history, and yet he's involved with this event. Yeah, and by the way, probably my favorite battle of the whole entire thing, the Beast versus the Ghost Rider. Oh, and who's this Ghost Rider? This is Johnny frickin' Blaze, the original motorcycle Ghost Rider. Not Dan Ketch, though he's wearing the whole spike thing, which that was something that Nicolas Cage did in the Ghost Rider film. Yeah. But this is one awesome event, though it does basically it does lead to a few things. In the Thunderbolts tie-in, basically caused Crossbones to move in the roster, but a lot of their heroes aren't really affected very much. Of course, Daredevil basically left. Yeah, his role basically after this event led into the Daredevil Reborn miniseries, which later led to the relaunch of Daredevil the following year. But who protected Hell's Kitchen after Matt Murdock abandoned his role after he was freed from the Beast? Why, Black Panther, of course. Yep, he got his own spin-off series right after this event and basically taken the numbering of Daredevil with him. Yeah, he basically had the Daredevil numbering for about 2 years. And then the book ended. Yep. Oh yeah, and also in the final issue, he fought the frickin' Kingpin of Crime. Yeah, and the Kingpin also took over the Hand, which, by the way, he would be the head of the Hand for 3 years. And you have Typhoid Mary work for him. Yeah, Typhoid Mary pops up in here, and they reference something that happened in the pages of Initiative. Although I think they should have referenced. You see, during the series Initiative, the Initiative got their hands on Typhoid Mary, put her in a thing called the Zero, and merged the three personalities into one. And Kingpin found out about it because the guy's a frickin' genius. He knows everything. Yeah, why do you think he sent the character Nuke after Daredevil back during the Born Again event? Because Kingpin's got connections. Yep. But this is one awesome event. 10 out of 10. It's a really, really good. Love the artwork in here. It's fantastic. Now to talk about the Daredevil tie-in. And no, he does not wear this costume. But yeah. Done by Andy Diggle. But artwork is the writing here is done by 2 different writers because, well, my guess is the reason why Andy Diggle had a co-writer because, well, he's writing the main event, so why not? We also have Anthony Johnson, who also does the one-shot basically out for the fall, with artwork by Roberto De La Torre and Marco Chittori, I think it's pronounced these two guys' names. The first artist issues 508 to 509, 511, of course, After Fall. Marco Cedero does issues 510, 512, and of course the Aftermath issue. I should also point out though, White Tiger does play. She does play a part in this event, and she's under influence of the hand. Oh, and even after this event, some people are curious though, like, does this get undone in another book? Well, this was a plot point that nobody bothered with for, I'd say, about 5 years. Yeah, for almost 5 years, no one did anything with this until Al Ewing decided to bring this character back in Captain America and the Mighty Avengers, and of course had the influence undone. Thank God. Actually, no, it was actually not that event. It was actually New Avengers. Yeah, New Avengers, basically the Al Ewing one. Yeah, it took like almost 5 years to resolve this little plot thread. Yep. Oh, and by the way, Black Tarantula pops up in here. He disappears at this event. He is never seen in a comic ever again until he shows up as Sam Wilson Captain America like 5 years later. Yeah, for 5 years this character did not make an appearance and he shows up in there. Yep. This is basically this is the whole point of the tie-ins for Daredevil, which would take place in between the issues of the actual main event. Though 512 is basically the aftermath of this particular event. And one thing I love about the final issue of this particular tie-in, excuse me, and I own this issue, though I had this issue. I got this issue years ago. I don't remember. It's from my box I own. But this cover has, at this point, all 4 Daredevil costumes on the cover possessed by the Beast. The one in the center is, of course, his costumes wearing prior at the time of this event, which was the black costume, which he also wore on TV show. He also brought the black costume back. On the far left, that is actually the red costume. On the right, directly to his right, that's actually the 90s costume he wore for a couple of years. And what about this costume basically looking away? That's actually the yellow costume. Yep. Also, there was a character named Becky who was Matt Murdock's secretary, who replaced Karen Page. Yeah, she was in love with Matt Murdock. After this particular run ended, she is never seen again. I'm not kidding. She disappears. She is never seen in a comic ever again. This was her last physical appearance. They also the character Dakota North play a role in here. Yeah, mostly this is all Dakota North and Foggy Nelson. Matt Murdock does not play a role in his own series. It's mostly just It's mostly his supporting characters. Yeah, and it kind of fills in the gaps of this event. Like this also was one reveal that he was actually possessed by the Beast, and it was later revealed in Mark Waid's run, which actually referenced this event, where he actually brought up the fact it was the Beast who possessed Daredevil to kill Bullseye. This basically revealed it. Yeah. But this is fantastic. Also, you have a character like Maestro Izo and Elektra. Yeah, they have those two in here. Maestro Izo does play a big role. Elektra does play a really good role in here because, well, she's basically one of Daredevil's former lovers. So why the heck not? This book, I'm actually going to give a 9.5 out of 10. It's a little bit different from what the main event was doing, but it's still really good. And I highly recommend it. Yeah, this is something to actually review something that's actually taking place before the Mark Waid run, which a lot of people love that. They hate this. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with Shadowland. I love this event. It's fantastic. It's street-level heroes taking on the frickin' Hand. When was the last time you ever actually saw that? I mean, yeah, Wolverine, who pops up in here, yeah, there's actually a good reason why he pops up in here. There's actually 2 reasons. One, he's actually had a history with Matt Murdock, and the Hand. Spider-Man doesn't have much history with the Hand, but he does have history with Daredevil. Yeah. I really wish other writers would take notes from Andy Diggle to have Spider-Man play an actual role and actually be a driving force for the series. Yeah, apparently, before and after this, half the time Spider-Man doesn't do much of anything when he shows up at an event. As a matter of fact, the last 2 major events Marvel had, he no-showed it. I'm not kidding. He no-showed it. I would say the last event he physically appeared in was Secret Wars. Yeah, that was the last major event. No, he did show up Monster Unleashed last year. And, well, he didn't show up Doctor Strange Animation because it probably wasn't necessary. But, yeah. Fantastic. Alright, so that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode, which is going to be episode number 642 and Doubleshot number 646. Yeah. If anybody has their own thoughts about Shadowland, please leave in the comments below. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. And if you reread now, when I was reading this, I was pumped to read this because I had read this. I read this years ago, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm reading it again. It's just so refreshing to read such a good event. A lot of people say it's bad. I've heard a few people say it's bad. It actually is not a bad event. It's really good. It's a one event that I think people should talk about a lot more, and it should get a lot more respect than it is. It's a very underrated event. And don't worry, I have more trades for Shadowland. But that'll be 2 episodes after this one, because next episode we're reviewing some more Ultimate X-Men. Yep, that's next episode, okay? But until I see you next episode, bye.